Well, test two is coming up very quickly here. We're going to be having test two on Thursday, November 4th. It's going to take place the same way test one did. You're going to have basically all day from 8 in the morning till 11:59 at night on Thursday. And you'll have a 3-hour window to complete that test just like before. Again, I would plan 2 hours of that window to actually take the test, and an extra hour of that window to be kind of split up between, downloading it or printing it off and, compiling your images and uploading it into e-learning. So, try to make the best use of that 3-hour window to get all that taken care of. I do have some information for you for the test and things that I want to make sure that you know, and some things that I will be providing for you on the test. So just kind of walk through this and I'll kind of review as we go, just running through, from the sections that we've talked about since the first test. And really, this test, I probably should write this up here, basically covers all of chapters 8, 9, and 10. Chapter 8 was on the finance chapter. Of course, there were things in there we didn't cover, but the things that we covered, obviously. So chapter 8 was on finance, chapter 9 was on measurement, and chapter 10 was on some geometry stuff. So that stuff is all going to be on this test. And you can see the list of things that I'm going to be giving you on the test. I may have to publish a book or something to get all this taken care of, but we'll get it on there somehow. And really it's just so that you have a nice, convenient one-stop shop for all these formulas and conversions and tables and stuff. So it may take a couple pages to do it, and it may actually be in a separate document. I haven't quite figured out exactly how it's going to show up, but you'll notice it when you get into the test. Either it'll be at the end of the test, probably not the beginning, either at the end of the test or in a separate document along with the test. So let's just start, we get into the personal finance stuff. Obviously, the beginning of that chapter 8, you had to do some just basic percentages. And you'll need to know your conversions and stuff from percent, decimal, fraction, all that stuff. But also your percent increase and decrease formulas, you're going to need to know those. Basically, you take your percentages and add them or subtract them. Your simple interest as well. So your, what's that? Interest equals principal times rate times time. So you're going to need to know that formula for sure. Once we get out of the simple interest stuff, pretty much everything else from the finance chapter I'm going to give you. As I'm looking at it, I think it's everything else. So your income tax formulas, how to calculate your adjusted gross income and your taxable income, and all those details with your adjustments and your exemptions and those things, deductions. So all that stuff, I'll give you those formulas. I'm not expecting you to memorize all that. The marginal tax table, okay, so the tax table that you guys had to figure out, do I apply 10% or 15% to my taxable income, all that stuff. That'll be given to you. Your FICA tax rates, so any of those extra details about the FICA taxes, I'll give you that information as well. There were 2 compound interest formulas. The one with the N in it, A equals P times the quantity 1 plus R over N raised to the NT power. That one I'll give you along with the PERT formula, the principal times, principal times e to the RT, right? That one for the continuous compounding. So I'll give you that one as well. I will also be giving you the formula for effective yield. So none of these things I'm expecting you to memorize or know. I'll just put them in the formula page. Your annuity formula, there were a couple different annuity formulas. I'm just going to give you the one that's the most general. That's the one with the N in it. Your book also has one, and I think I included it in a video, where you have just an annuity where the payments and compounding is 1 time per year. I'll just give you the general one with N times per year, and then you can always put the 1 in if that's what's needed. So I'll give you just that one annuity formula. The mortgage payment formula, also I'll give you that one. These are very related but different, so you'll have those. And I think that's it for the finance stuff. So that should be everything. Again, really all you need to know are the percent increase, decrease, and the simple interest, and all the other stuff, whether it's a table or formula, will be given to you from that chapter if you need it. Chapter 9 was on measurement. Now there was tons of conversions and formulas, mostly conversions in that chapter. And this is kind of where it goes all over the place. There are some I really want you to know, and other ones that I'm just going to give you because they're hard to remember, honestly. And I'm not really expecting you to do that. But some of these are ones that I anticipate most of you know them already. Honestly, like your inches to feet, 12 inches in a foot, right? Feet to miles, 5280, right? 3 feet in a yard. You guys should probably know those. All of your metric prefixes, I'd like you to know those. Your, centi, milli, kilo, hecto, all those things. I want you to know those prefixes so that you know how many multiples of 10 you have to multiply or divide by to get from one to the other. Also, what's over here? Did I miss something over here? Yeah. Anything that's an English to metric conversion, I'm going to give you. I don't expect you to know how to convert feet to meters or inches to centimeters or any of those things. So if it's an English to metric or vice versa conversion, I'll give you those. When we're looking at areas, there are some basic areas here I really want you to know. Square inches to square feet, 144 square inches in a square foot. Square feet to yards, 9 square feet in 1 square yard. Okay, those I want you to know. And really it's the principle behind those that you're squaring the other conversions, right? The square of 12 is 144, the square of 3 is 9. So just that principle there. When it comes to area, the ones I'll give you are anything regarding an acre, because the acre to mile, or acre to square mile and the acre to square yard, I think you guys, I'll give you those. Those are not real common ones to remember. Let's see. We're still looking at volumes and capacities and stuff like that. I do want you to know some of these. Some of these capacities are useful. Pints to quarts. There's 2 pints in a quart. There's 4 quarts in a gallon. These aren't too hard to remember because quart means quarter, which is 4. So there's 4 quarts in a gallon, and a pint is half of a quart. Okay, 2 pints in a quart. Also know that there's 16 ounces in a pound, and that there's 2,000 pounds in a ton. Okay, I think most of you probably are familiar with those, but I do want you to know those. Over here, any other English capacities like your, so other than pint, quart, gallon, what else was there? Your tablespoons, teaspoons, ounces, those sorts of things, I will include on the test. So I really just want you to know your pints, quarts, and gallons. Those are kind of your larger ones. Other metric volumes, capacities, and weights. So things like your cubic centimeters and your milliliters or liters and grams, those things. When you have to convert between them, like cubic centimeters to liters or things like that, those things I'll give you as well. There was a ton of different conversions there in that chapter. And then also I'm going to give you the temperature formulas for Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin. Remember we had a formula that went between Fahrenheit and Celsius. That actually had 2 different formulas, one for each direction of the conversion. And then you had the Kelvin one, which is just a sliding of the scale of the Celsius. So I'll give you those formulas, or whichever one. Maybe I won't give you both of the Fahrenheit, Celsius formulas. Maybe I'll just give you one, but you can solve for the other one, sort of thing. But something there, you'll be able to get those. Okay, then we got into the geometry chapter. And in the geometry chapter, some things that I want you to know are the angle sum for triangles. You know, the sum of the angles is 180 degrees. I want you to know that. The Pythagorean theorem for right triangles, right? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Most of you probably already know those two. Over on this side, what else was there? Oh, the angle sum for any general polygon it was n minus 2, the quantity n minus 2 times 180, I believe. That formula I'll give you on the test so you can find the angle sum for a hexagon or something, or octagon. I'll give you that. And then, what other ones? Oh, areas. So I want you guys to know the area for a triangle, that's 1/2 the base times the height. Area of a rectangle, length times width. For a square, is the side squared. And for a parallelogram is the base times the height. Those four, you guys should know those. The area of a trapezoid, that was one of my favorites, honestly, and I've really debated about this one, putting it on the other side, but I'm going to go ahead and give that one to you. It's the average of the two parallel sides times the height or the distance between them perpendicular. So I will give you that one. I debated, but you lucked out. So I'll give you that one. And then I am going to expect that you guys know the circle formulas. That's your, diameter is 2 times the radius, circumference is pi times the diameter, or 2 pi times the radius, and the area is pi times the radius squared. So those formulas, I am going to expect you guys to know those. Those are pretty common. I've tried on a lot of these, I'm trying to include things in here that you probably already know or are familiar with a little bit, or have some experience with, or things that I think in the future will be really good for you to know, even if you don't know them already. And over here, these are things that are less known, and you might happen to know that, how many acres are in a square mile. Is it 640 or something like that? I don't even remember for sure, but I think that's what it was. But anyway, so these are some things that are useful, and that some of you may have experience with, but maybe not necessarily, and they're things that can be easily looked up, with use of the internet. So I'm not, or your textbook. So I'm not super concerned, but I think they're still really important things. But I really am not expecting you to know all this stuff. Okay. So anyway, just wanted to let you know, give you a little breakdown of how that will play out. Again, this stuff could take up a large amount of space. I'll try to, fit things in as nicely as possible and still make it readable. So I won't put it in like 2 font or something. I'll make it reasonable. There may be some images, screenshots or something, copy and pasted in there. Who knows? I don't know. I haven't made the thing yet. But anyway, that's the idea. If you have any other questions, please let me know. And then of course, try to do this when you're doing the test. If you can print it off and write, directly on a copy of the test, that's the best way to do it. It makes grading a lot faster for me. But the big thing is, if you can get your test into a single document. I had a lot of them where they came in last time in multiple documents, and it takes quite a bit of time to sit there and edit those and get them into the type of document that I can actually put into my iPad and look at in there. So a single document, a PDF, maybe I'll even write these up here. So I need one document. It really needs to be a PDF. And if you can get it to look nice, so there's no like shadows or wrinkles or any weird thing like that, taking up space on the page or making things blurry. Try not to take a real distant picture, because sometimes I got to zoom in. It just is messy. So, and I know the first time you take the test, first time you submit stuff, it's a little clunky, so I'm a little more lenient with that, but it does slow down the process significantly. So if you can get at least get it into this sort of format, that would be very, very helpful to me as well. Please do not bother to include the formula sheet with the test when you submit it. Just your work and the problems is fine. You don't have, if there's 6 pages of problems in your work and then there's like 2 or 3 pages of formulas at the end, just leave those off, okay? That would be beneficial. That'll save some space on my iPad, and as I'm flipping through stuff, that'll make things go a lot smoother. So anyway, please do review these things. These are obviously ones that you need to know, and I think there are things that you hopefully are familiar with, and certainly by the time you've done all of my math lab homework, most of these things should not be too big of an issue. So let me know if you have any questions, and enjoy studying and taking your test number 2.